Hello and welcome to the crunch match of 2026. The Mercedes Star, the BMW Roundel. These guys have been rivals since Jesus was in nappies. And today, it's the all-new GLC versus the all-new iX3. And we're going to find out which is better. And the result, well, it might just surprise you. The stakes have never been higher. Both manufacturers are undergoing huge EV resets, ones that have implications for years to come. Get it wrong, and it's no exaggeration to say all bets are off as to the consequences. Bespoke platforms, all new operating systems, new battery cell architecture, none of this stuff comes cheap. A few months ago, we rated the BMW iX3 as a 5-star sensation, a true game changer of an EV. But things move fast, and now Mercedes-Benz, fresh from rave reviews of the really quite impressive CLA Saloon, aims to dethrone its old rival with this, the brand new GLC Electric. Headlines, 406 miles of range, completely new operating system, 39.1-inch touchscreen across the dash, big focus on comfort, luxury, brand new chassis underneath. It all promises the sort of great leap forward that BMW have been talking about with the iX3, but for some reason, Mercedes just haven't been shouting about it as much. There's been no mention of an equivalent to BMW's Neue Klasse reinvention, nor has the build-up been anything like as intense or drawn out. But what does that mean for the final product? Driving the GLC, you can understand that slightly more under-the-radar approach of Merc. It's not a car that sets you on fire immediately, more one that embraces you in a gentle hug, a warm embrace. The specs. 94 kilowatt-hour battery underneath me, 300 kilowatt max charge rate, quick, not as quick as a BMW. 483 brake horsepower, 0 to 62, 4.3 seconds, not a slow SUV. The controversial bit is the hardware. So Mercedes has fitted 2 permanent magnet synchronous motors, one at the front, one at the back. They're not as efficient as some other motors out there. So what Merc has done is given the car the ability to decouple that front one when it's not needed, therefore making it more efficient. But even in rear-wheel drive mode, this is not a slow car. We were on the Autobahn yesterday, 100 mile an hour plus on a de-restricted section, and it pulled and pulled and pulled. This thing is quick. The hardware is an interesting take from Mercedes. Unlike BMW, Mercedes uses cylindrical cells mounted in 4 modules because it argues that's the best compromise between space efficiency and reliability. Why? Because in a modular arrangement, you can swap out a section when it fails rather than having to replace bigger chunks of battery. Batteries are expensive, so repairs on the GLC should be cheaper. The downside? It's not a structural element of the car, which means you need more reinforcement elsewhere, and that means weight. So it won't surprise you that the GLC is a portly 2.5 tonnes. That doesn't help efficiency. Engineers do a merry dance around this. They put stuff in, they take stuff out, all in the name of balancing performance and efficiency. And what they've done with this one is fit a 2-speed gearbox at the rear. That's unusual for an electric car. The Porsche Taycan has got it, not many others do. In the GLC and in the Taycan, what it's trying to do is help low-speed acceleration and high-speed efficiency. And in the GLC, it works really well. You can't really feel that shift. It happens at about 70 miles an hour, but you've really got to be looking for it. The GLC also has 4-wheel steer. Again, more mass. This reduces the turning circle to just over 11 meters. BMW decided against it on the iX3, and I'm kind of with them on that. Yes, the GLC can turn in a slightly smaller circle, but out on the road, it made very little difference. On the plus side, the GLC system works well and doesn't make it feel like one axle is doing something different to the other. It's all pretty smooth. Much like the ride quality. To me, that is the standout achievement of this GLC. It is sublime. It's so comfortable. You could pick the most pockmarked road and it would just float over it, all nice and calm. A lot of EVs struggle because they react to them too much, especially with short, sharp undulations. But this thing doesn't. It just glides. It's like a magic carpet with a master's degree in comfort. Does it fall over in the corners? Yeah, a little bit. It doesn't grip as well as the BMW, and it flip-flops a little bit more through a left-right, but I think they've got a compromise about right. It feels like a Mercedes-Benz, and that's the key. What's interesting is how Mercedes has achieved this. Software. Oh yes, that dreaded word. You see, the GLC runs on air suspension and adaptive dampers. So far, so normal. but also uses data from both Google Maps and other Mercedes cars via Car2X tech sharing to learn about road conditions and how the dampers should be preset for a particular section of tarmac. The skeptic in me is conflicted. Surely some sophisticated dampers could do the same job and not rely on potentially quirky software data. Deal in the real world. But Mercedes argues not, that this data-driven approach gives you wider scope to make adjustments, and you can't quibble the results. I drove a CLA the other day and both cars are showing signs that Mercedes has found its calling, offering cars that feel sophisticated, expensive, dare we even say cosseting.
The same could be said for the interior. It all feels very nicely made, almost luxurious. And just look at that hyperscreen. 39.1 inches. It is vast. It's actually made up of 3 separate screens. You've got the dials in front of you, quite traditional. Head-up display as well. Main brain is in the middle. That's where most of the action happens. And then there's a 3rd screen in front of the passenger. My kids will love it. My dad will hate it.
But you know what? It works well. It's better laid out and easier to use than the hyperscreen in the old EQS, especially with this new zero layer at the bottom. There are apps in it, obviously, and you can now customize the layout depending on need. Don't want easy access to seat heaters in the summer? That's easy. Just drag and drop to swap for something else. It's got games and Google-based nav that draws on live public charging data, so that route planning is dynamic and effective. This is not interesting and will not earn you friends at the pub as you recant your incredible EV knowledge. But having experienced cars both with and without this sort of tech, it makes a huge difference to the stress levels.
There are some bits of the interior I don't like though. The design of these vents and the speakers, it's a bit gaudy for my taste. I'd prefer something a bit more understated, a bit more like the BMW, basically. But you can't argue with how well made they are and how easy they are to adjust. All feels pretty good.
Although check them out at night. It looks mega, and some cars even come with a series of 3-pointed stars that light up in the sunroof. All very Rolls-Royce. Practicality is covered off with a decent amount of rear legroom, and the boot is a useful size too. At 520 litres, it's exactly the same size as the iX3s. Told you they were close rivals.
Like a lot of the latest electric cars, it's also got a frunk, fruit, whatever. Nifty button here to open it. And you just do that. 128 litres, so it's a decent size, but there's no drain holes. So you can't fill it full of ice and use it for a beer cooler. Pity. The reason it's so big is because of these permanent magnet electric motors underneath. They're much more compact, much smaller, bigger space up front.
There's nothing especially revolutionary about the GLC's cabin. It's taken the recent Merc playbook and massaged it, rather than throwing it all out and starting again. Even the enormous touchscreen is something we've seen before, only this time it's obviously a bit bigger. That's much like the way it drives with its focus on comfort, albeit enabled with some mighty clever tech. Can it possibly hope to compete, given that the iX3 has staged a bloodless coup against the established EV order?
It's the same story with the styling. The Mercedes is definitely less blobby now. Those early electric Mercs, ooh, God, did not like those. But it's not a completely new design language. The BMW, on the other hand, this is all new. Clean sheet, BMW's claiming. They're calling it the Neue Klasse, the new class, after their first great reset of the 1960s. I'm not sure which I prefer. This one's definitely edgier, but it looks a bit awkward from some angles. This is more rounded, but again, can be a bit droopy in places. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
One area where the BMW does clearly pull away from the Merc, on paper at least, is range. The iX3 claims 500 miles from its 108 kilowatt-hour battery, nearly 100 miles more than the GLC, although in reality, I think the gap is a lot closer. In 2 days of hard driving, both were pretty similar marathon runners, and over a few hundred miles, both averaged around 3.1 miles per kilowatt-hour. What does that mean in the real world? In the Merc, you should manage nearly 300 miles, in the iX3 about 335. As I say, that's not enough of a difference to choose one over the other.
Sorry to say, but software is king these days, and the car's brains are important in all of this. BMW's even given one of its brains a name, the Heart of Joy. Ugh. But Mercedes is the same. They both use 4 brains, and they control everything from the safety to the infotainment to even how the cars drive. And because they've ditched the old CAN bus wiring systems that's been in cars for decades, they're much quicker and much more efficient. So BMW says it can save 600 meters of cabling in this iX3. Mercedes claims it can do 254 trillion calculations a second in the GLC. Who's counting?
In the iX3, BMW has focused all that synchronized tech on a car that drives really, really well. It feels more in tune with the road surface than the GLC, and there's less awkward weight transfer if you're really blasting along.
Steering feel, it's not bad for an electric car. It's precise. But weirdly, you get more sense of what's going on through the chassis, through the seat of your pants. To the point where you can go into a corner and either get on the power or lift off a little bit and it tightens its line. I'm not saying this is a Fiesta ST, we're not at that level of things. But it's interesting and it's an electric car that's actually engaging to drive. But please, BMW, ditch the fat steering wheel. I'm bored of feeling like I'm holding a couple of cans of Coke.
The handling is the crucial area for BMW. It needed the new iX3 and all the other electric BMWs that will follow to feel like a BMW. It's no good reinventing an entirely new way of engineering and building a car, only for it to feel like some distant cousin, 15 times removed from the rest of the family. Like the GLC, the platform and strategy is going to run across multiple models, including the crucial new i3 saloon. So suits and engineers at BMW must be breathing a sigh of relief that they seem to have judged it correctly.
Unlike in the GLC, the iX3 uses conventional springs, normal dampers. So the ride isn't quite as good. It fidgets a bit more, it picks out the bumps a bit more. I guess you could say the GLC is a bit like the S-Class. It wafts, it floats, even after long undulations. There's a little bit of a tail to it where it's just gently going down the road. Whereas with the iX3, it goes over a bump and it settles straight away. One bump, done.
Both cars feel pretty similar in pace. Theoretically, the iX3 is 0.6 seconds slower than Mercedes, but it's marginal stuff.
Just get around this corner and pin the throttle on the next straight, see what it's got. Oh yeah, that's quick enough. Yeah, I'll maybe pin back a little bit less than I am in the GLC, but it's marginal stuff. It's a family SUV, this iX3. It's perfectly quick enough, and who wants to make the kids vom on the way to school?
Both cars claim to do over 97% of their braking on regen alone. Mercedes even says it can recapture up to 300 kilowatts of energy. That's exactly the same as the GLC will hoover up when plugged into the mains. Both also have various levels of regen while you're driving, but the BMW is strangely lacking in flappy paddles to tweak it easily on the move. The auto mode in either reacts to conditions around you, and weirdly, I found it pretty effective. It didn't feel like the machines were taking over. We're not quite at Skynet yet. So which is the driver's car? Definitely the BMW. It's the one that hooks you in straight away. From the moment your ass hits the firmer, more figure-hugging seats, you know the iX3 is going to be the car that gives you that bit more intrigue on each journey. The Mercedes is lovely and smooth, but the BMW has greater depth.
Look in here, you thought the Mercedes was future-proofed. Start with the screen, 17.9 inches, a piffling 17.9 inches. Mercedes engineers must have laughed when they saw that. But it's hexagonal shaped, the design's quite nice, it's angled towards the driver, so it makes you feel a bit sort of driver-focused in here. Like the Mercedes, it runs the latest BMW operating system. It's all very clever. And also, like the Mercedes, it's got all this predictive charging. So if you're doing a route that's more miles than you've got left in the tank, it will show you where you should stop. It will tell you how many free charges there are. BMW charging maxes out at 400 kilowatts, so it is toasty. And talking of toasty, someone has turned my seat on. Not needed. Anyway.
Arguably, though, the best part of the BMW is the panoramic vision display. It runs along the base of the windscreen from A pillar to A pillar to complement the head-up display and touchscreen while replacing the traditional dash. Like the GLC's zero layer, it's customizable, so you can rearrange all the various functions, and it also uses a false horizon so that it appears as if it hovers halfway down the bonnet. It's brilliant. I love a head-up display, but this can replace that.
But I know what you're all thinking. The key question is, whose is bigger? Step forward my able assistant, Charles, who, armed with tape measure, this is very scientific, is going to give me a hand. So, let's have a look. You pass me that, Charlie. Let's have a look. So if I get this in here, yeah, down in the corner, that's it.
Yeah, there we go.
And the number is?
50 inches.
50 inches! BMW wins.
As we've already mentioned, the boot sizes are identical, but there is slightly less room in the rear of the iX3. Your kids will be happier in the GLC. And its frunk is much smaller, so it's trickier to cram the cables in. But enough of the boring practicalities. Which is better? Which manufacturer has managed to get the great EV reset sorted? Honestly, it's closer than I thought it would be. I'd driven both these cars before, but separately, and from those individual moments, I thought the BMW would walk it. Munich seemed to have revolution on its side, with that sense of inevitability that comes from such a huge amount of steely inner confidence. You could almost feel history being rewritten with BMW's ironclad self-belief. The Mercedes is not in that frame of mind, but it's no less impressive. That's what amazed me from driving both back to back, how well matched the two cars are. The Mercedes is the comfort play and the one to go for if you just need a car to ease into your life. But for me, the BMW nicks it. Yes, it's not as comfortable as the Merc, but the way it combines all those boring SUV practicalities in something that's genuinely good to drive is mighty impressive. Crucially, the same tech and chassis are also on the upcoming i3 saloon, so the fact it works here bodes very well for that car. An electric saloon that's worthy of the hallowed 3 Series lineage, that's got to be the iX3's biggest win.